Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here back with some more Maya. This is basically part two of Maya. If this is your first time watching this, definitely check out the previous video. It kind of gets you basically the rise of the Maya and just pretty much how advanced they are and just how awesome they actually are. I didn't realize that they have, basically this big civilization. They don't have just one leader. There's their own. Everyone kind of has their own kingdom. Not everyone, but you know what I'm saying. And everyone just works together, and they all do their own thing, kind of thing. So and it's pretty fascinating. But now we're on to Maya Star War, Tikal, and Calakmul War. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of this means at all. I'm definitely extremely curious to see the Star War. I mean, did they fight over the stars? I don't know. Obviously not, but I'm trying to think of any constellations or maybe like, I don't know, some bad omens happened or something in the sky which made one tribe want to fight another one. I don't know. I really don't know. But I like the name. But without further ado, let's jump into this video. 3, 2, 1, bam. Oh yeah, definitely hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't yet, please and thank you.
This video was sponsored by The Great Courses Plus. Go to thegreatcoursesplus.com today to start your free trial. The Maya civilization flourished in the 5th century AD, and the stone cities jutting out of the rainforest housed millions. During this incredible era, the kings, gleaming with jade and vibrant feathers, marching through the jungles with thousands of their obsidian-wielding warriors, are about to introduce total warfare to the Maya world. 2 Maya superstates, home to the temple of the Great Jaguar Paw, Tikal, and the massive snake kingdom, Calakmul, will collide and cycle between moments of triumph and disaster for not only themselves, but their entire world.
Oh man.
Maya warfare worked differently than that.
Dang, so that's what we're doing. I mean, 2 giant kingdoms are about to go to war. And this is apparently, I guess, the start of the downfall. I mean, I hope they don't just like wipe out the losing tribe. Hope they just don't get wiped out. They just exterminate them. Like we've seen, in some wars, to come. But yeah, that'd be a shame. But wow, like maybe because a lot of people die in this, they make themselves so weak to where an outside, like the Spanish, just an outside country comes in and perfect timing, and kind of picks up the pieces and is able to, take over just because so many people have died and there's not many people left to defend. Possibility because obviously in the past, the plagues have come and then, countries have been able to take over because the plague has killed so many people. Maybe it's kind of a similar thing, but except it's not the plague, but conflict within kind of kills too many people. I don't know. Anyways, let's jump back into it.
Entire world. Maya warfare worked differently than that of Eurasia. As there were no draft animals, Maya armies would have to carry all of their own equipment and food. Porters were used so soldiers wouldn't have to carry everything, but the longer the campaign, the more porters would be needed to carry food, and soon more porters would be needed simply to carry food for the other porters. Campaigning was limited to the dry season, as the rains would make it impossible for large groups to traverse the swamps and forests of the region. Therefore, Maya conquests and campaigns were short, and they usually never traveled more than 2 weeks' march.
It definitely makes sense to where I guess they didn't really, broaden their territory. I'm sure if they had like horses or just bigger animals, packed animals, I'm sure the Maya, it's not an empire, but the civilization, I'm sure it would definitely stretched out a lot wider. Had a lot more land. They just didn't have the means. It was just too much of a hassle, apparently, I guess, to kind of travel too far. But yeah.
Only when rivers are nearby do we see far-flung warfare, as canoes could be used to transport food and equipment. So rather than empires or massive kingdoms, the Maya instead formed hegemonies and political leagues. Each state was technically independent, but a complex system of lords and overlords, dynastic marriages and intimidation allowed the stronger states to dominate the weaker ones. When the Maya states went to war, they were short, bloody and chaotic affairs. Wars were usually conducted by and for the Maya elites, and so they were expected to do most of the fighting. The king and his entourage of elites formed the core of Maya armies. The Maya military was entirely infantry-based. Armor wasn't worn for most of Maya history, but when it was worn, it was a thick cotton vest stuffed with rock salt. This Kevlar-like vest would have been extremely difficult to slice through. Nobles would have wanted to stand out on the battlefield in order to gain prestige, and so it was common for them to be dressed with brightly coloured feathers and to drape themselves in many different animal skins.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to stand out, man. You know, someone on the other side is be like, I want to kill that guy. That guy is important. You know that that's the mindset of your enemy. So why do you want to make yourself a target? You're just just like in wars, generals and stuff like that. They don't want to make themselves stand out because they're going to get sniped. So they kind of dress like regular troops. But apparently not. Maybe in their culture, if they do die, they want to die wearing their best kind of thing. Maybe that's kind of like, one of those religious things, you want to die wearing your best clothes kind of thing. But hey, man, they got some balls of steel, man. You got to put that all out there, put yourself in the spotlight. Good on you guys, man. You're better men than me, because I wouldn't be doing that.
For their weapons, the Maya relied on short spears, usually tipped with chert or flint, but nobles would often have obsidian-tipped weapons, and these were especially fearsome. According to the Lacedon Maya, a chert point will usually kill, an obsidian point always kills.
Oh.
Along with these spears, swords.
But I guess it also helps. I mean, I still want to have this extravagant outfit, but I would definitely take their weapons. Like, I would definitely have the vest. Apparently, that comes in very handy. I wonder how, for slicing it comes in very handy, but I guess if you're using probably a spear, probably have to see some kind of armor against it, but obviously if you hit hard enough with a spear, it's probably definitely going through that vest. But yeah, you have the better weapon, the better armor, so that's definitely a plus about being a noble. Kind of, I guess, maybe evens it out, or maybe someone might not want to go against you, maybe because they know that they're better. They know that the noble is better armed and has better armor. So it's like, I'm gonna stay away from that guy because this guy could probably beat me. So maybe that's actually a good thing to dress up like that, because that's an advantage.
Like the Macowitil were used, along with either hide or wooden shields. For their ranged weapons, the Maya used blowguns, javelins, slings, and a weapon imported from the Mexican highlands, the axlatl or spear thrower.
Huh.
This powerful weapon can launch large spears at speeds up to 150 kilometers an hour that knock a man off his feet before killing him. If the Popol Vuh of the Kiyiki Maya is to be believed, the Maya had developed a type of early hand grenade. They hollowed out a gourd and filled it with wasps and bees.
Wow.
This was then tossed into a crowd of attackers, and the furious insects would quickly cause mayhem. Most Maya books were burned, so we have no military manuals or records.
That is so cool. The weapons, though. So I'm assuming just like, not modern warfare, but in medieval times, you have your archers. They come and go in there. They shoot all their arrows first. I'm sure they have their sling guys, and they probably, and their spears, they probably do all those guys first, and then they rush in kind of thing. Or maybe they have the sling guys and the bee dudes in the back while this fighting's going on, trying to go over top of them to get the guys in the back. I don't know. But those weapons are pretty neat. I like the bee bomb. That's Obviously, if you have a thing of bees here, you're not going to be able to stay in line and stay focused if you're being stung. So that's cool stuff, man. Innovative.
And therefore the exact tactics and strategies they used are lost. But it seems Maya warfare was based on warriors dueling one-on-one, with the capture of high-value targets such as kings being the primary goal.
Huh.
As the intensity and frequency of
Primary goal is to be captured. Yeah, I wouldn't want to wear that armor if you're gonna better chance of being captured, right? And then obviously you're gonna. This is the Maya, so you're gonna get sacrificed. Like you're not. If you get captured as a noble or a king, you're not surviving. They're gonna like cut your throat, or they're gonna sacrifice you somehow, and it's not gonna be pretty. So yeah, and yeah.
warfare increased goal. As the intensity and frequency of warfare increased, defences were quickly erected around the cities. Walls and defensive ditches and moats became common towards the end of the Classic period. Mayapan, for example, was surrounded by 9-kilometre-long walls of stone up to 2.5 meters high, topped with palisades. Cities like Teka and Tikal would use walls in combination with natural barriers such as swamps and cliffsides. A favourite defensive strategy of the Maya was to surround their cities with concentric walls. One inner wall that was much larger and easier to defend, and a smaller outer wall. When an attacker managed to get past the first wall, they would find themselves stuck in what has been called a kill zone. Defenders behind the much larger wall would fire down on the now pinned attackers. These defenses combined
So kind of like basically like a fortress, right? I mean, kind of like you'd see like in Europe, So that's really cool. And back then they had no influence from Europe, so it's kind of cool, you know. This time period, you didn't have people like Christopher Columbus or I forget their names. I've done the videos on them. I can't think of them, but this was before that time, so it is cool that you have the same kind of tactics, even though these two cultures on the opposite sides of the world hadn't come together at this time. So it's kind of cool that similar things were going on. And that's really neat.
with the general difficulty of the Yucatan's terrain made sieges quite rare and short. However, we do have evidence of Maya sieges taking place, and in murals from Chichen Itza we can see what some Maya sieges looked like, this one specifically involving siege towers against a fortified hill.
Wow.
During their Classic period, the Maya began to chronicle their own history by carving the deeds of kings and generals upon thousands of giant steles that still dot the Yucatan. On some of these steles we hear of a foreign intrusion into the Maya world. The intruder was Teotihuacan, a sprawling metropolis located in the Mexican highlands, at this time the most populated city in the Americas with up to 125,000 residents.
Wow.
Under the command of Siyokaak, or Fire is Born, Teotihuacano soldiers marched over 1,000 kilometers towards Maya territory. On the 8th of January 378 they entered Tikal, then a rising power among the Maya cities, and on the very same day the king of Tikal is said to have entered the water, a Maya euphemism for death. A complete political takeover of Tikal was instituted, and the ruler of Teotihuacan, Spear Thrower Owl, had his own son put on the throne of Tikal. This mixed Teotihuacan Maya dynasty brought the already rising city-state to new heights. Soon cities like Biyukal, Rio Azul, Uazactun, and Motol de San all fell under Tikal hegemony. It dominated not only the trade routes of the Maya lowlands, but also the lucrative Caribbean sea trade. According to Michael Coe, until the arrival of Fire is Born, the Maya remained politically fragmented, each city-state charting its own path. After 378, Maya culture blossomed, alliances were formed between city-states, and great advances in science and technology took place.
Okay. Interesting.
Todd! Hey, wait! I can't just stay here and wait for you to figure out what you want. I just need a little...
But Tikal's dominance could not last forever. Directly to its north, a serious contender was taking shape. Calakmul, a kingdom whose rulers referred to themselves as the Divine Lords of the Snake. Calakmul was the largest classical Maya city, with an urban population of at least 50,000 and a core covering 30 square kilometers. The entire kingdom had a population of over 1 million inhabitants.
Wow.
As the power of Calakmul grew, so did the ambitions of its snake kings. By installing dynasties in other cities, arranging well-placed marriages, and through ingenious diplomacy, a net of Calakmul-aligned cities wrapped around Tikal. These two superpowers soon began to try and smother each other, but avoided direct conflict. They fought through a series of proxy wars instead, in a Maya-style Cold War. But an opportunity to directly strike at Tikal arose in 553.
I was gonna, because they said that before in the previous about, Cold War. Okay, this is what they're saying. I guess it didn't really dawn on me, but I guess it's pretty obvious. But yeah, they didn't want to fight straight on. They didn't want to deal with that, but they didn't mind little skirmishes, here and there. But I guess crap's about to hit the fan, right?
3 AD. To directly strike at Tikal arose in 553 AD. The king of Tikal, Calakmul, had placed his preferred candidate on the throne of the city of Calakmul. 3 years later, relations between them collapsed completely, and Calakmul joined Calakmul's league. The balance of power had tipped in Calakmul's favor. This is a Star War glyph. These Star Wars were usually decisive attacks that were coordinated to occur while Venus, the heavenly body the Maya associated with war, was passing overhead. In 562, a Calakmul Star War assault ended with Tikal being overrun, and its leader, Calakmul, found himself upon a sacrificial stone at Calakmul.
Damn.
A dark age was started, and for 130 years we hear nothing from Tikal. While Calakmul enjoyed its total control over the region, a split seems to have formed within the Tikal dynasty. Calakmul, the son of the king of Tikal, seems to have been sent to establish a new dynasty and rule the city of Don Pilas in 629 AD.
Okay.
Both cities still claimed the same royal title and used the same ancient Mayan name. Shortly after this, Tikal begins to step back out of the shadows. The brother of Calakmul, Nunyuhol-Chaak, ascended to the Tikal throne. An energetic and strong leader, he seems to have reinvigorated the declining city. A powerful figure, Uknum the Great, had been ruling in Calakmul for over a decade, and he was determined not to allow his rival any chance of recovery.
Makes sense.
Uknum attacked Don Pilas in 650, and seems to have convinced its king, Calakmul, to join the Calakmul League. This turn of events must have horrified Nunchaak in Tikal. Calakmul was supposed to be the sworn enemy of them both, and yet now his brother was on Calakmul's side. Uknum pressed his advantage. In another Star War attack, he attacked Tikal, storming over the walls and sacking the only...
That is so cool how they kind of went along, they go along with the stars kind of thing. I was kind of right about that, predicting that, the Star Wars, the alignment kind of thing. That's kind of neat, though. I like how they call it Star Wars, too.
War attack, he attacked Tikal, storming over the walls and sacking the only recently recovered city as Venus gleamed in the sky above. His kingdom was once again shattered, and Nunyuhol-Chaak was forced to accept Uknum as his overlord.
Well, Calakmul right now is totally in control here. So I'm wondering, do they stay in control? or these other guys have some something up their sleeve, because apparently there's gonna be a lot of death, and they haven't really mentioned much about a lot of death right now. So I'm assuming a big battle is a brewing here, and like something's gonna happen. So that's really bad.
Num Yahol Cha'ak was forced to accept Yuknum as his overlord. It would take 15 years of waiting in order for Nun to feel like Tikal had the strength to reclaim its independence. He wanted to strike quickly and decisively, and his first target was his brother. In 672, he attacked and captured Don Pilas and sent his brother running. For 5 years, he chased him across the Yucatan, and just as he was finally within his grasp, Nun was unexpectedly met in battle by Yuknum in 677 and was defeated. Bala was restored to his throne at Don Pilas once again. Nun did not lick his wounds for long. This brother's spat came.
Well, yeah, Tikal's got to keep on the offensive because obviously the Calakmul, the bigger kingdom or whatnot, they're not going to take that lightly. They're going to try and like stomp them, before they can retaliate. So, each side's still going to be head on against each other because each side can't afford just to let this go.
Came to its bloody conclusion in 679, where Nun met Bala and forces from Calakmul in their final battle. Again, we do not have the written records of the battle, but the inscriptions tell us it was one of the largest in Maya history. Pools of blood soaked the earth, broken spears and piles of skulls littered the battlefield, and Nun Yahol Cha'ak, the man that attempted to bring Tikal out of its dark age, was dead.
Oh, wow.
Surprisingly, this was not the end of Tikal. Nun's son, Yasur Khan Kawil, took his place on the throne in 682. He seems to have bided his time, built up relations with his subjects and allies, and also reasserted Tikal's Teotihuacan heritage. Yuknum would die in 686, and Bala would follow in 692. Yasur used this transition phase to the advantage of Tikal.
Right? I mean, we've seen it, in the 100 Years' War, and, just many wars where, once, the big honcho dies, I mean, people swarm in and, vultures and try and take advantage of it. I mean, there's not a lot of people here swarming in, but obviously the best time to, as soon as that happens, you got to take the opportunity, and pair two of the big dogs died, so you see if Tikal, comes, can turn things around right here.
Yasur used this transition phase to the advantage of Tikal. In the Maya's own words, he brought down the flint, axe and shield on Calakmul's new king. In a battle timed to occur exactly on the 256th anniversary of the death of spear thrower Owl, the forces of Yasur defeated Calakmul in battle and captured a sacred effigy of one of their gods. This was not only a military defeat, but a painful spiritual one. A month later, a triumph was held for Yasur in Tikal, and he entered the city to a cacophony of chanting and adulations, with a trail of captives and plunder pouring in behind him. To cement his victory, he had the captured Calakmul king sacrificed. The Second Tikal-Calakmul War ended with Tikal's prestige restored and Calakmul starting to decline. However, Tikal would not bask in the glory of this victory for long. The collapse of the Calakmul hegemony, along with the decades of constant warfare, had caused an irreversible shift in the Maya world. It is about to enter a spiral that will rip people away from their cities and cast a shadow across their history. When we create these videos, we often use the series of lectures called the Peoples and Culture.
I want to know what happens next. Cast a shadow over it. Is there other, like I said, their country gonna take over it? Because maybe from word of mouth they hear that, ooh, this is a good time to just Tikal kind of took the advantage. Maybe more outsiders are going to take the advantage of all the infighting. There's no really big power in control, so maybe others are going to try and you know get control over that area now, since it's kind of a mess right now. Wow. So that's my guess, unless there's some kind of plague, sickness, or something like that. So interesting. I want to know what happens next. But that was really cool. I really liked that we kind of got some battles going on, and it was kind of cool, that they were able to piece all that together. So there was really neat stuff. Yeah, you definitely. I guess that's the one downside of being a king over there, man. You're getting sacrificed. You know, over in Europe, it's like you probably got treated with respect, and you probably almost got treated like one of their own, except for you were kind of like basically imprisoned, held hostage basically. But here, if you're captured, you're done. Like you're being sacrificed to the gods. So, but that was really cool. The Star Wars, man. So when Venus comes, okay, that's really neat, man. So, anyways, let me know what your thoughts of this episode below. What you guys thought. I thought this was really neat and really eye-opening. Like, I'll definitely be thinking of the Maya a lot differently now, because I had a lot of cool information and just really neat stuff. So I'm kind of definitely really curious to what happens next. And I believe there's only one more episode left. I think it's only a little three-parter for the Maya. Why did the Maya civilization collapse? I guess we're going to find it out on the next episode of this. And then I guess we're on to Aztecs, okay? So anyways, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. I hope you guys are having a great day, great night, all that good deal stuff. And peace. Catch you guys in future videos. Thank you for watching.